Around Ayin Gimel and Beis, right? Yeah. This stuff is Ayin Dalet, so we're getting there. Okay. We thank Hashem that we're able to learn Torah every day. As close to our learning, we should have the Beis Hamikdash. We were learning in the Mishnah in this eighth chapter of Zavachim that if there's a sacrifice that's not eligible to be brought, or it's supposed to be put to death, that gets mixed in, and even 10,000 other sacrifices, all of them are not allowed to be brought. They all need to be put to death if that's the scenario. Mara, the question: why do we say that? Why do we say that they all have to be put to death? Shouldn't we say that if one of the sacrifices leaves the majority, leaves the others, we'd say called the parish, miru parish. Just like you find the piece of meat in front of the 10 stores, 9 of them are kosher. We'll say that the meat is kosher because it came from the majority. So when the majority is kosher. So we hear also with these animals, the majority is kosher. So we said you can't say that will take one out from the majority, because when you have the majority, when you have all of them stationary, there's a rule called kavua. It would be more similar to a person that went into one of the 10 stores, bought a piece of meat, and walked out and doesn't remember which store he went into. So over there we say that every store is a 50-50. So therefore he's left with a total of, there's a 50% chance that he went into and each store there's a 50-50. One of those stores was the non-kosher store. So we're left with the 50-50. We're going to have to say that it's prohibited. It's deraisa. We're going to say that it's prohibited. So too here, when you have a mixture that's in its location, we're going to say that if you went in and you extracted one that came from the kavua, that came from its place, we're going to say that it's 50%. Could be 50%. In other words, we look at the statistics much different when we take it from the place. Each one could be that one. Yeah, and any of these mixtures, whatever the mixture is. So if it's in its location and you extract, the doubt arose from its location, original location, then we say kol kavua k'mechzal mechzadam. So the Gemara has a suggestion. Bishinu denied it. It's the top line. It's the end of the top line on Ayin Gimel Beis. Why don't we push them all together in a way that they're all going to move? We'll move the whole herd. Then we lose the status of kavua. It's not considered in its original place. Then as it's moving, you're going to take b'neima called the parish, and then as it's moving, you take one out. So you don't have its designated location. And then we'll say called the parish, miru parish. Whatever leaves is leaving from the majority because it's not in its original place. So what we learned yesterday, Amar Rava answers this. So the Gezerah that maybe 10 kainim are going to come, we drop down our mixture from 10,000 to 10. If it's a mixture of like 1 and 10, so we have a concern that maybe 10 kainim are going to come, and they're going to offer it up at the same time. Now, when that happens, then the majority just shifted. You told me before that there were 10 animals here, and one of them left, right? So we'll say that's probably from the majority, which were kosher. So we'll say it's going to be fine. The problem is that at the end of the day, when they're actually offering the sacrifice, there's 10 kainim show up. They're offering the sacrifice at the same time. Where is the majority now? I say that the prohibited one is probably in the majority, right? And the one that left is going to be fine. But now I have the majority being offered all at the same time. So where's the prohibited one in there? It just shifted. Originally, I took one out of the majority. And then I took another one out. Then I took another one out. Each one was going to be fine. Now at the end, when I offer them up, I reconstituted the majority. And now I have all of the one that's prohibited being offered. When it's in the majority, right? It's being offered in the temple with the majority. that's different because then you're increasing what's prohibited. You're adding more to the prohibition. Here, you're just reconstituting your you're changing what the ratio was. Over here, I had taking one out. Now I have the majority back over here. I didn't add any new prohibitions here. It's the same one. It's just where would I say it is? It's going to be in the majority. It was one of the students says to Rava, now, this is an expression. Megisa just means the big bowl. Megas means to mix. Megas is to stir. Megisa Sira, it says what's happening is that as you're stirring the blood, let's say, it's becoming usser because originally I had a mixture of 1 and 10, let's say, and one of them was prohibited. So I had them all move, and I pull one out, and so I say that the one that came out is from the majority. 9 of them were kosher, so this one is going to come from the majority. It's going to be one of the kosher ones. And then I did it again, Okay. Each one already has a status on it that it should be kosher. The student is asking Rava, says, so how did it now become not kosher? Because it was being stirred in a pot, now it becomes megisa asira. It becomes not kosher every time I'm going to change. If you move it here, it's kosher. You move it there, it's not kosher. You move it. Once it becomes kosher, it's kosher. Why are you telling me that later on we may reconstitute combine and shuffle, because we shuffled the animals around. Now we're going to say, okay, now look at what's going on. Now it's going to come back to being usher. Megisa sira, the pot that's used is going to make this prohibited. So the Gemara answers, Mishum Shema Yavayo Yud Kain Vasachas V'Yikhu. Not that you took one out, and then you took another one out, and then later on, back in the base of Mikdash, you didn't realize that you had to do them all separately, and then the Kayanim came together, and they all did it at the same time. And what was permitted before now just became prohibited because there too many Kayanim showed up. That's not what's happening. The Gezerah is that maybe 10 Kayanim are going to come at the same time and all take animals, and then that's going to be the majority. Now, originally, when you removed it from the majority, you're actually going to end up with the majority right there. Where it says, that's what you're worried about. Basara kayinim vasachas miyafsher. Is it supposed to be kayinim? Doesn't, because you don't need kayinim now. Let's see what that dalet is. Yeah, it was yud kayinim. Yikhu vasachas miyafsher. Suppose you take out the kainim. It says, is that really what's going to happen? Is that really something that you have to be concerned about? That 10 kainim at the same moment are going to come and they're going to take exactly at the same time, and then you're going to end up with the majority in the hands of the kainim. Yeah, totally.
The 10 Kohanim took 10 of these animals out from 1,000. Is that the situation?
Yeah, we switched it down to 10.
So there are only 10 left.
There's only 10 left. There's only 10 in the whole mixture. We were using originally that it's 1 in 10,000, but now we're talking about something more practical. Like when would this be applied? And then so we have a concern that maybe there's going to be 1 in 10, and then 10 are going to take it. Gemara says that that's not very probable that should happen. We shouldn't be making a gzeira. Because of something that's so impractical.
Just to redo the Megisa Sira, let's say a cholent pot, so there's Batul B'Shishim, but if it dripped, let's say, on one side, and then you take out 80% of the cholent and you just move it out, it's not Batul B'Shishim anymore. So that's his question. It was kosher, now it's not kosher? Like, what happened, right?
No, 1 second. Yeah, there's something like that. But I have to tell you about the cholent, that when something falls into liquid, you assume that it spreads evenly. That's an assumption. When it falls onto a solid, then there's Maseches Rashi in the Ri. If the solid is partially submerged in the liquid, if it spreads evenly as well. That's a discussion. Remember, Reb Naftali and Tzadik Beis, Rashi and the Ri. But if it falls onto a solid outside, then we would say that you can only measure it in that one solid itself. So if it fell
But
into
this
one side of the
Gisa,
pot,
but
and then you pull out the other one, maybe too
yes,
late.
but Megisa, Asira, what's he talking about?
What you're saying is that 1 second, as the Kayanim show up here there in the base of Migdash, it becomes prohibited because I have blood in this bowl and blood in this bowl and this bowl, and now all of a sudden because there's 10 Kayanim standing there by their bowls ready to sprinkle, that now that's going to make all those animals prohibited when they were permitted and all the way until now.
Oh, he's using the word vayikach, taking the blood.
So no, so then it goes back and he says no, v'yikhu. V'yikhu means originally to take it. It must be the pshat is not over here by the Megas that it's going to become us. It has to go back and say that it was that the nuchshash that the kainim are going to take it originally from the herd altogether. Okay. Elam Rava mishum kavua. Rava has a concern. Rava says that the concern is not that maybe 10 kainim are going to show up. We have a concern like this, that maybe you won't make a distinction between nachbashinu denaidi, make them move, and then extract one of them, or leave them be and extract one of them. That you may get confused about doing that. You say, look, if you take one out, we say that it's called the parish miruba parish. It's came from the majority. So if you move it and you take one out, we would say that. Maybe even if you leave it and you take one out, you would say that. That difference, that distinction between having them all walk and then pulling one out versus just pulling one out is not so clear to everyone. And if you allow it when they're walking, then you're going to also allow it when they're stationary, and the rule is totally different when they're stationary. So it's a gezerah called the parish miruba parish versus kavua, versus if it's in its stationary location. Yeah.
Sounds far out, but this is exactly what Rabbi Reichik went through and explained when there was the problem with a butcher in Los Angeles. He gave a whole lecture about this to explain his decision.
This is Rabbi Shimi Reichik.
Yeah.
And this was they found something they found something treif there.
It was learned that a butcher had been substituting treif meat, and he felt compelled to explain to everybody why they had to throw out all their meat.
Oh.
So he discussed this.
Interesting, yeah. This is a quite a big sugya in Taruvas.
Yeah.
At the end of Taruvas, when you learn Smicha, it's in Simkuf Yud. That's where this topic comes up, and it's all based on this Gemara here. This is the source. With regard to one who finds meat in the marketplace or in the possession of a Gentile by Torah law, he follows the majority. If the majority of stores still kosher meat, yeah. By Torah law, it wouldn't matter if it was whose hands. But there would have been it would be a problem with basar shenasalim and ayin. You can't eat meat that's in possession of a Gentile. But the Torah law of majority would apply. That's just an example of found, right? Right. That's an example of found. Okay, so now the Gemara says, Amar Rava, Hashdam Rabbanan Nakriv. Rava says, okay, we're ready. We accept the Gemara, we have our background, and we understand what the Gemara means, that you're not allowed to offer any of these sacrifices. Inakriv Lemratzi. If someone went ahead and actually offers it, then it's not. It doesn't appease. It doesn't appease Hashem. It doesn't satisfy. It's not considered a good sacrifice. Esir Rav Huna bar Yehuda l'Rava. Rav Huna bar Yehuda asks Rava. That's a new one, I think. Huna bar Yehuda. It doesn't satisfy. Oh, would they leave it up? I assume they would leave it up, but it doesn't satisfy, right? Yeah, probably it would be left up. Is it Psulei B'Kodesh? I'm not sure. It's a good question. Hill is asking an intelligent question. He says that what we're saying over here, that if it doesn't appease, does that mean you have to take it off the altar, or does that mean that you could leave it up on the altar? And we had a whole thing about Zois Teres Sa'ila, that once you bring it up, you don't take it down, right? It's a good question. Okay. So the Gemara says like this: Rav Huna bar Yehuda asks Rav a question. Chatas shenesarva ba'oila, ba'oila shenesarva b'chatas. If a elevation offering, which is an oila, gets confused with a chatas, a sin offering. Now we're talking over here about birds, because if it's animals, we have other solutions. But if it's a bird, it's problematic. Afilo achas beriba, even if it's one that gets mixed into 10,000. Now either way, either one oila or one chatas gets mixed into many others. Yimusukulam, all the birds have to die. They can't be offered. We know that the way the chatas is offered is different than the oila. I'm going to go back into that. This one is above the line. That one's below the line. Right, the oila saif is above the line. The chatas saif is below the line. This one is squeezed, and this one is sprinkled, and this one is eaten, and this one is burnt, and etc. This one the head is cut off. This one the head is left on. So they all have to die because the service is done differently. When do we say this? B'kayin nimlach. Nimlach means to ask for advice. Yeah, right. Like Chaim, b'min nimlach. Right. Nimlach means to take counsel. That's only a kayin that asks the best in what he's supposed to do. They say, look, sorry, there's nothing you can do here. But sometimes you have a kayin that doesn't ask for advice. He just goes ahead and offers it. So a son lamaila, if he did all of them above the line, he likes to go on top of the seifiv and to sprinkle the blood over there. So then mechza kosher, mechza apostle. Then it's going to be half kosher and half apostle. Which half is kosher? The oila sa'if, because half of them are meant to be above the line. The ones that were supposed to be below the line are apostle. We'll have to redo only half of them. Lamata, if it was done below the line, then mechza kosher, mechza apostle. Then half a kosher, half a apostle. Which half a kosher? The chatas is kosher because it's done below the line. As achas lamata, v'achas lamayla. If you do one below and one above, so you'd think that maybe you'd say they're all kosher. No, shneim psulis, they're both puzzle. Because we say shani yomer achatas kreva lamayla, v'oila kreva lamata. This is like, what do they call that? Murphy's law. What could go wrong will go wrong. So it's exactly the wrong. The one that was supposed to be down below, it ends up being on top. Okay. Whatever the case is, we have a kasha and Rava. Rava says that if you offer a sacrifice when you weren't supposed to offer the sacrifice because it got mixed up, we say that it doesn't appease. Comes along this, is this a Mishnah? The Mishnah. The Mishnah from Rav Huna bar Yehuda quotes a Mishnah. Where's the Mishnah? It's in Kinan. It's a Mishnah in Kinan. And according to the Mishnah, it's going to be kosher. Yeah, we had a more complex case where they got mixed up. She bought the birds, the Yeleda, she bought the birds, and she didn't say which one, and there were two types of birds, and that was a very complex case. Here it's just very simple. Two birds got mixed up. This is how it starts. That's how the Masechta starts. And then as it goes through the Masechta, it gets more and more complex. So We have a kasha on Rava. Ella, the way we're going to answer this question, we're going to say, Ella hakamandam bali chayim nidachim, hakamandam bali chayim ein nidachim. Simple teretz. It's machlekes. That's how you resolve contradictions. It's two opinions. One opinion says that a bal chai, a living animal, gets rejected if there's a moment when it's not eligible to be brought. Even if afterwards the situation changes, it remains not eligible. The other opinion says that bali chayim ein nidachim. It's a live animal. How can you say that it's been rejected? If after it's slaughtered already and there's a problem, and then something happens where it comes back, so then we would say that it's rejected. How do you bring it back? It was invalid. But while it's alive, we don't say bali chayim ein nidachim. It's a machlekes if you say bali chayim nidachim. So here we're saying it's a machlekes. Rava is saying that it's bali chayim nidachim, that once it's been rejected from being offered, you can't say that it comes back to being kosher. And the Mishnah was according to the bali chayim ein nidachim. Gemara asks, very shchutim de l'kol al nidachim, but let's say it was slaughtered already. And everyone says that when something's slaughtered, it is considered nidach, rejected. And here we're going to have a case. Utanan, we have a case. This is talking about a oilas behema that had a mum, a burnt offering that had a blemish, that gets mixed up with another burnt offering that did not have a blemish. Rabbi Eliezer says, "Im karav haray shalech miam yirkavu kol harashim." Rabbi Eliezer says that once one animal was offered, then we say that was probably the one that wasn't supposed to be offered, and now the rest of them are allowed to be offered. We say once one of them gets lost, we say that was probably the one that was no good, and the rest are going to be good. Yeah. That's what I do with my kids when they don't like the one part of the banana is a little bit like to cut a piece on it. They say, no, I have to check. I said, no, I already took off the bad part. That's already done. So over here, the one head was off. Okay, that was the bad part. That was the one that wasn't supposed to be offered. The rest are all fine. Everything else is fine. So what are we seeing over here? 1 second. All right, we have a problem here. Problem is, if the kohen would come to ask in the Beis Din, we would tell him that you can't offer it. That means that it's rejected. Now he comes and he offers it. So we're saying that it's going to be, see, the one that he offered, we're assuming was the bad one. But all the other animals here that were not supposed to go on the altar, that if he would have asked 5 minutes ago, can he put them on the altar? The answer would have been no. Now that he offered one up, now we say that he can offer the rest of them. 1 second. We had a machlokes about if it's alive, if it's rejected. But everyone agrees that after it's been slaughtered that it's rejected. And here it's rejected because if you would have asked, they would have told you no. That means rejected. And now that he offers one, we say, okay, now they're all eligible. So how does that work? My answer is, we're following the opinion of Chanan HaMitzri. Apparently there's 2 Chanan HaMitzris. But whatever the case is, Rabbi Eliezer also Chanan HaMitzri. The Tanya Rabbi Chanan HaMitzri taught in a brisa. This is talking about the goats on Yom Kippur, the 2 goats that they did a lottery for, right? Did a lottery. One of them went to Azazel, and one of them was shechted and was offered as a sacrifice. So it's called Sora Pnimi. So if the blood, even if the first animal was slaughtered, right, the one that's going to as the karban, even if that was slaughtered, and the other one dies, the mishdaleach, the animal that's supposed to be pushed off Azazel, the cliff, dies. It says maybe chaveirayim is aviglai. I don't have to restart the whole thing. You see, what happens is I need to have a pair at the time that the sacrifice is being brought. time I bring the first sacrifice, the other one has to be alive. The Azazel has to be alive. I can't have that one just died and now but Hanan Mitzri says, don't worry, it's not a problem. Even though there was a moment right now when this did not have its buddy, right? It's because it dropped dead, the Azazel. You have to go bring another one. But nevertheless, that's not a problem, even though the blood is in the kais. So in other words, even though it's not a balchai, it's already been slaughtered. And it's nidach. It's rejected for temporarily. It can't be offered until I find its mate, right? Until I find that other piyat, the other part. So that the other animal. Nevertheless, I say that we don't say it's rejected. So what we'll say is, mazabigly, you bring the other its friend and you match it up. So too over here we'll say that Rabbi Eliezer holds, like Hanan Mitzri, who holds that there's no rejection even by an animal that's been slaughtered. Nice. So we resolve our issue that Rava holds that Balei Chayim Ein Nidachim, and Rabbi Eliezer and Hanan Mitzri hold that even if it's not a Bal Chai, it's not Nidach. Okay.
It seems like if they ask the rabbis, they have to let all the animals die, and then if he doesn't, he'll do Latifo and he'll get like partial credit.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess sometimes it's better not to ask. Don't ask the question if you don't want the answer.
No, but I don't want to think. So I was thinking that maybe like letting them all die, you're also that might be higher than
Right.
the other one.
Right. 100%. Remember with King Shaul, when he went to battle with Amalek, so he left the animals. He didn't wipe out the animals. So there'd be great sacrifices. And Shmuel said, "Shmaya misavach tayyib." Better to listen to instructions than to offer sacrifices. Okay. Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rabba bar Ravu, Amar Rav. Yeah. This is in the name of Rav. It's Rav Nachman, the name of his father-in-law, Rabba bar Ravu, the name of their teacher, Rav. The Bas shel Avidas Kichavim. If you have a ring, some jewelry that was used for an idol, was decorating an idol, and what happens then is that it becomes Aser Bahana. It's a ring off a statue. It fell into 100 other rings, a box full of rings. One of them came from an idol. So what happens then is that Avodah Zarah is never batal, right? It's not batal. So it really they all become aser. However, as you're carrying this box of rings, I say, oh, I don't know when I'm going to do this. One of them falls out and falls right into the ocean. So we say, Amrinan, the one that fell out, that was the bad one. The rest are all good. Isri Rav Nachman. This is what Rav Nachman is saying over in the name of Rabba Barvu and the name of Rav. Rava challenges Rav Nachman. Very common for Rava to challenge Rav Nachman. Says, our Mishnah says, Afilu achas beriba yemusukulam. You have a mixture of animals, right? A mixture of animals that one of those animals is not allowed to be offered as a sacrifice because it's a chata samesa. The owner of the sacrifice died and it can't be offered. It has to be let to die. And that sacrifice gets mixed in with 1,000, 10,000 other sacrifices. It says they all have to die now. Because we say that it's not batal because it's bal chayim and betelim or whatever it is. It's chashiv, it's not batal. So 1 second. You just told me that a ring from Avodah Zarah that falls out, the whole thing becomes mutter. So 1 second, why are you telling me that they're all aser? Am I? Name a demis yisramis? But let one die. Right? Not going to all die the same second. You have 10,000 animals. Let one of them die. Say, perfect. The bad one died. And the rest should all be kosher. You just wait for the first one to die. According to Rav. This is what he's asking Rav Nachman. Amalei. So Rav Nachman responds to Rava. He says, Rav Damak Rabbi Eliezer. Rav is following Rabbi Eliezer. The Tanan. Rabbi Eliezer taught. Rabbi Eliezer Merkav Reish Alechem Mikru Kol Rashim Kulam. You're right. That was Rabbi Eliezer's opinion. Rabbi Eliezer held, remember, if you had animals that had a mum mixed together with the animals that didn't have a mum, and it got shechted, and now I realize now that I wasn't supposed to bring that one animal. So I can't bring any of these animals because I don't know all the parts, the body parts are all mixed up. I don't know which one is which. So, but if one of the heads gets offered on the altar, then I'm allowed to offer all the other ones. Because I say, the one that you weren't supposed to was already offered. The rest you're allowed to. So this is the opinion of Rav, that Rav would follow that opinion of Rabbi Eliezer that says this. And our Mishnah, what if not our Mishnah? Our Mishnah says that you have to wait till all 10,000 die. So it says that would be the people that argue on Rabbi Eliezer. It's fine. Rav asks us, Rav Nachman, V'amar Rabbi Eliezer, this is Rabbi Eliezer ben Pedas. Rabbi Eliezer the Amira, he explains that Lehitte Rabbi Eliezer, that Rabbi Eliezer explains Rabbi Eliezer, that says that if you offered one head, you can offer all the other heads. That's on Ela Shnayim. Rabbi Eliezer throws in one more piece of logic over here. He says that when I have two heads here, one of them died. One of them was they're all shechted. One of them was offered on the altar. Rabbi Eliezer says that was probably the bad one. But together with that, you can't just offer each individual one up. Now you have to offer two at a time. And the logic of that is because one of those that you're offering up is definitely permissible. Because there was only one bad. So we say that just like one is permissible, the other one is also going to be permissible. It's like migu, and this it gets like sneaks in together with the other one. One of them is for sure allowed. So it gets it's like a double heter of it, double logic. Yeah, we look at it like 51% maybe. Okay, so lo heter Rabbi Eliezer el shnayim. Aval echad loy. Okay. So what are you telling me over here that this is allowed? One falls out. Tamalei anatarti kamina. I'm saying the same thing. Rav Nachman says you have a bucket full of rings, of jewelry rings. One of them fell out. One of them was from Avodah Zarah, and also one of them fell out. We assume that the one that fell out was from Avodah Zarah. Now you're allowed to sell the rest. So Rava is challenging Rav Nachman and says, how can you sell the rest? You take one out. Rabbi Eliezer never held that you could take one and offer one head on the altar. You had to do two at a time. So Rav Nachman says, yeah, don't worry about it. You sell 2 rings at a time now. 2 rings at a time. I didn't mean one at a time. I meant 2 at a time. Okay. Amar Rav. Rav says tabas. Yeah, so we got that through.
Heads work, 2 rings also.
Right. Rav says tabas shalavedas kichavim shenesarva b'mei tabas.
Well, you could sell all of them at one time. It's more than one.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. The main thing is that you can't do 1-1.
What happens to the ring that fell into the ocean? Is it no more avodah zarah? It's miyayish. It becomes mutter. As Yosef Merker Shabbos when
We
fishing.
don't have. No. You're asking if a fish, if it shows up, if you say that's the one that fell in.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that's why he said tabats. He didn't say jewels. Because the tabas, you could recognize where it came from. Maybe it has a mark.
Uh-huh. He definitely didn't have to return it. Yosef Merker Shabbos. He didn't have to return the jewel to his neighbor, the millionaire. Remember Yom Tov Erlich song, the millionaire. Okay. Rav says tabas shel avedis kechavim shenesarva b'mei tabos. They have a ring of avodah zarah that got mixed in to another 100 rings. We say they're all going to be prohibited. Parshu arbaim l'makam echad v'shishim l'makam echad. In this, in the warehouse, they divided it up into 2 boxes. It was 100. They put 40 in one and 60 in another. So now, what happens now is that the 40 end up getting mixed into another mixture, and the 60 end up getting mixed into another mixture. Iseres. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me explain. Parshu achas. I'm sorry. No. It's not all 40 gets mixed in. I skipped the key point here. Parshu achas me'arbaim. If one of the 40 fall out, and that gets mixed into another mixture, right? I have 2 boxes now. It started off as 1 box. Now it's 2 boxes. It's a 40 and a 60. One of the 40 fall out and gets mixed in, so it's eina iseres. It doesn't the one in the one from the 40 won't prohibit the next mixture. The explanation for this is because I say isura beruba isa, the prohibited one is in the majority, and this is the 40. So it doesn't that isura beruba isa won't permit the 40, but it will permit the one of 40 that fell out from not contaminating, from not making everything else prohibited. The one from 40 that fell into another mixture won't become prohibited. Because I'll say the prohibition was in the 60. The 40 is still prohibited, but that's for another reason.
So you can keep doing that to you.
Yeah. No, you're not allowed to be mevatel this lechatchila. You're not allowed to do this. You can't take one out and throw it away. And like if it happened, then remember the discussion about pieces of meat that were, one of them was treif, and they got mixed together, and they were all a chaticha real iskabed. They were all too valuable to say that they were nullified. So they say nothing gets nullified in such a thing. And then one of them gets sliced up. The one that gets sliced up gets permissible. Right? Remember that? Like we had something like that. When it gets sliced up, it becomes permissible. So something like that over here. Maishna achas mishishim meiseres, but the one in the 60 becomes prohibited. Maishna achas merbaim deloi. What's going on over here? When you have the one in the 40, we say that it doesn't prohibit tamrin nisur brubisa because we say it's in the majority. Achas mishishim nami. 1 out of 60 that falls out, tamrin nisur brubisa. We'll say that it's left back in the 59. In the 59 that are there. Why are you saying that the one that fell out is the one that's prohibited? We say the one that it's left in there is the one that's prohibited. Ella, rather, in Parshu Arbaim Kulam Makam Echad, ein isras. Rather, what we're saying over here is not 1 out of the 40 doesn't prohibit. 1 out of the 60 does prohibit.
All 40 together, you say.
All 40 together. Yeah, like I was trying to read it before. So, but Shishim Makam Echad, but if all 60 fall together somewhere in another mixture, isras, they'll prohibit everything else.
Oh, cool.
Yamnisa Kamid Shmuel. So who is saying this? This is Rav Yehuda. According to the version of the Maseches Shas, this is Rav Yehuda Amarav. Rav Yehuda was saying this. So now, this is good because originally we said it was Amarav. Rav said it. Now, if you don't have the Maseches Shas, if you don't have that Rav Yehuda Amarav, then it's a little strange because Rav and Shmuel didn't really have a lot of conversations in the Gemara. It's very common for Rav Yehuda to say, this is what Rav says, and then he says, when I said it over to Shmuel, Shmuel told me the following. That's very common, because when Rav passed away, Rav Yehuda was a student of Rav, he changed yeshivas and he moved over to Shmuel.
Oh, wow.
So he would say over teachings from Rav, he said it over to Shmuel, and Shmuel would challenge him. He said, well, how could Rav say that? Whatever. So Kiamrisa Kamei the Shmuel, when I said this over to Shmuel, Amrali, so Shmuel told me, you can't bring any proofs from Avodah Zarah because Sveika Surad Seif Olam. Says over there, it's going to be totally different. Even if the 40 gets mixed into another thing, another mixture, the other mixture is also Asa. Shmuel has a much stricter view about this than Rav. He says that it's the prohibited item that's in this mixture will prohibit even if it's in the minority that gets mixed into another mixture. Meisvei, the Gemara has a question on Shmuel. We have a brisa that says, Safek Avodas Kav Masura, Svek Muteres. A doubt of Avodah Zarah is Asa. But a doubt of a doubt becomes permissible. Ketzad, give me an example. If you have 1 cup of Avodah Zarah that fell into a storage house full of cups, Kulan Asur, they're all Asur, yeah? Because 1 in 1,000, if it's Avodah Zarah, it's never batal. Pirashach and Mem L'Riboy, if one of the cups of the storage house falls into another 10,000, Umei Riboy, L'Riboy, and one of those falls into another one, Mutarim. All of them become permissible. Because I had a double doubt here. How do you do this doubt? Doubt is, when it fell into the first mixture, there's a doubt which one it is. Then from this mixture, it fell into another mixture, right? Even if I say that the one from the first mixture that fell into the second mixture is the one that's prohibited, but now when I take one from the second mixture, is that the one that was prohibited? Maybe this wasn't even the one that fell in. So it's a doubt and a doubt. It's a double doubt. So what are you telling me that Shmuel? What did Shmuel tell me? That a doubt and a double doubt, right? The compound doubts, that it's all aser by Avodah Zarah. I have a brisa that says that it's not. It says, well, answer this with Tanaihi. It's a machlekes Tanaim, right? That's how we typically answer questions today. It's machlekes. The Tanya was taught in a brisa. Rabbi Yudaimer Rimayni Badan. If I have a pomegranate that comes from Badan, and the problem with this pomegranate was that it was Arla or it was Truma, it has a problem with it. So it gets mixed in with other pomegranates of Badan, these special pomegranates. They, even 1 in 1,000 becomes aser, and it doesn't become permissible. Ketzad, if one falls into 10,000, if one of those 10,000 falls into another 10,000, it's all aser, even though it's a svek.
What's the problem with Badan?
Badan isn't the problem. Badan is these are special pomegranates. Remember James and the giant peach from Whole Foods. It's called this. Badan is if you see in the small letters it says from Whole Foods. more expensive.
Right.
Badan was a place.
Cool.
So did everyone see that? There was a clip from what's his name? Gold, Yoel Gold. Yoel Gold. He says stories. He says he has a story with the guy in the yeshiva. He was in yeshiva, and every night they served chicken and rice. But on Shabbos day they served chopped liver, which was very good. But some of the guys went to the takeout place and they got from the chopped liver, and he said he would look at this and he was so jealous. One day, the Rosh Hashiva stands up. He says, whoever bought from the takeout place chopped liver, you have to listen. The takeout place buys from the chopped liver from the yeshiva.
Oh, that's hysterical. That's so fun.
Okay. So we're saying over here that it fell one. Okay.
Not
Comes.
a kabad, you see.
It all becomes aser. Reb Shimon ben Yehuda, Mishim Reb Shimon. Reb Shimon ben Yehuda says the name of Reb Shimon, so we have 2 Reb Shimons in that one. He says, L'riba yasurim. In the first mixture, yeah, that's a problem, so we say that it's aser. But miriboy l'shleisha, from that mixture, falls into another 3. Umishleisha l'makamacher mutter. Everything becomes permissible. The first mixture, the second mixture, the first 3, the second 3, all become mutter. Because now it's a double doubt. What comes out is that we have a machlekes tanar. Does the second doubt become permissible? So Shmuel Damar Kaman, who do you want Shmuel to go like? Shmuel says that when it comes to Avodah Zarah, we don't permit a second doubt. Ik Rabbi Yehuda, if he's following Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yehuda was said that even if it's Arla, remember the Rimayni Badan were not Avodah Zarah, the pomegranates were Arla. So it says even by Arla, we would say that the second mixture and the third mixture become Aser. Ik Reb Shimon, if he's following Reb Shimon, then it should be permissible even by Avodah Zarah, which he definitely can't hold of Reb Shimon. Maybe Reb Shimon would actually make a difference between Avodah Zarah and other things. But Avodah Zarah would be mata. Oh, it's good teretz. It'd say that Reb Shimon was talking about Arla, but by Avodah Zarah he would say that it's prohibited. Where it says Allah the Tanya, the problem is Safik Avedis Kechav Masuris, Svek Materes. I have another brisa that says that a Safik of Avedis Zara is Aser. One doubt, right? First mixture. Second mixture is permissible. Mani, who does that hold like? Le Rabbi Yehuda, Le Reb Shimon. It can't fit with anyone. If Reb Shimon is the one that says, if Reb Shimon would say that Avodah Zarah is also Aser, and the second mixture. It says, Li'olam Reb Shimon. Really, Reb Shimon, he says that it's permissible. The Brisa would actually fit with Reb Shimon. However, Shmuel Savalak Rabbi Yehuda Bechada, Palagale Bechada. Shmuel is going to follow Rabbi Yehuda when it comes to Avodah Zarah. And he's going to argue with Rabbi Yehuda when it comes to Shari Surim. So we don't have a kasha on Rabbi Yehuda. And we didn't have a kasha on Rabbi Yehuda. We had a kasha on Shmuel. Who does Shmuel hold like? If he says that Avodah Zarah is Aser, even many mixtures, we say, well, he'll go like Rabbi Yehuda. But Rabbi Yehuda says that it applies to everything. He says, well, he doesn't hold like Rabbi Yehuda by every detail. He holds like Rabbi Yehuda by Avodah Zarah, that every mixture becomes Aser. We're up to Amar Mar on the bottom of Ayin Dalet Amar Aleph. Right, let's leave it over here. Bottom line. Okay, have a good day.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Have a great day, Moshe.
Thank you. Thank you.